So 2020 has been filled with purchases, designer, niche, and indie. So now that we're in December, it's time for me to bring you my top 5 niche pickups for 2020. Let's go. So my first fragrance is a barbershop scent with a twist. It's balsamic, it's aromatic, it's woody, has some fresh nuances to it. It's a fragrance that I don't hear too much about. For people that's watching, I think you probably know what this is because I really enjoy this house. And it's something that I fell in love with on first sniff and been wearing it over and over again since I got a full bottle. And the first fragrance is from New York and it's Memento. This fragrance has a unique array of notes like Opinix, Gaiac wood, jasmine, even carnations, patchouli, aldehydes if I didn't say that before. It's just one of those fragrances that reads floral, but you don't really get a floral aspect from it. I get barbershop or what people consider to be barbershop fougere, but in a unique pattern, something that's far off from the typical barbershop fragrance, but within the same wheelhouse to make you think, all right, yeah, it's a barbershop fragrance, but just not like what everyone else is creating right now. This fragrance plays best in the winter and fall, but it's definitely a year-round fragrance. It's something that I wear oftentimes in the house, especially before I go to bed. For whatever reason, fresh out the shower, this is one of those fragrances that I really just enjoy coming straight out the shower. But it's not a fragrance that has poor projection and longevity. Actually, none of these fragrances are on this list. When it comes to niche fragrances, I'm gonna spend upward of $150 to $200 or more for fragrances. I'll definitely want fragrances to last long and to project well, and this fragrance definitely does that. It lasts for about 12 hours. It projects pretty strong for about maybe 3 or 4 hours. The sillage is always there until it's actually gone away. And on clothes, forget about it. Great fragrance. One of my favorite pickups this year. I probably picked up 4 fragrances from this house this year because each one of them have their own story, their own characteristics, and it's just something that I really enjoy. Probably one of the best houses that don't ever get talked about, but hell, I'm here and I'm talking about them. So my first fragrance is from New York, and that's Memento. So my second fragrance is a fresh herbal spicy fragrance. It's a fragrance that's supposed to have the ladies going crazy over you, even chasing after you. This fragrance is from a house that you could only find on Facebook. It's a house that has been all of the rave, at least for 2020. I wasn't familiar with this house before 2020, but ever since I've been a part of the group, everything has pretty much been a rave. I really haven't seen any misses from this house. I've been purchasing a lot over the past couple of pay cycles. I actually got some stuff hopefully coming before Christmas, about 4 or 5 more fragrances. They make inspirational fragrances, but they also make original creations, and that's all they do really is make fragrances. So the second fragrance that I have is from the house of Genre Parfums, and it's Ran After My Car. It starts off beautiful with a double dose of citrus with the bergamot and the lemon. It also has pineapple in it, and then it goes into the earthy space of it with the clary sage and some spice notes, and then it dries down with some woodiness, but still pretty fresh with some amber and some white musk. This fragrance here, when you think about something, or when you think about a fragrance that says Ran After My Car, you think maybe something warm or something like creamy and sexy vanilla. But nah, this is actually a different take on a sexy fragrance. And from what I'm starting to understand, women typically like fresh fragrances anyway. I get more compliments on fresh fragrances than I do on the spicier fragrances or even some of the creamier fragrances. While they still do garner a lot of compliments, I definitely get compliments on the fresh ones, and this is one of those freshies that just got me endless compliments. Like pretty much almost every time I've worn it, I've gotten a compliment, and not just in my house. And yes, with people with masks on, when I'm in the store somewhere, people can still smell you. People can pick up on scents. It's not like you put on the mask and all of a sudden you're like just nose blind to everything that's around you. And honestly, I wouldn't want to live like that anyway. So like I said in all my genre videos, if you haven't yet, go on Facebook, go to your Facebook groups and type in Genre Parfums or Genre Neighborhood. Jump in the group, you'll see what the buzz is about. It's gonna give you that motivation to want to make a purchase. And when you make a purchase, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna be disappointed. So the second fragrance is by Genre Parfum and is Ran After My Car. So the third fragrance is from probably the most popular niche brand in the niche community, which is obviously Cree. I knew I was gonna have to have a Cree in my collection to, to be a collector for real. I mean, everybody has one, or most of everybody has one. And I didn't buy it just because I needed a Cree in my collection. I wanted to make sure I bought the right one. But this fragrance is highly popular. It's not as popular as the OG, but it definitely does its due diligence. It's citrusy, a little bit musky, a little bit woody. Heavy on the citrus, but a great mass appealing fragrance. And like I said about the last fragrance, the fresh fragrances definitely do get more compliments than the deeper, creamy fragrances, the ones that have more depth. So this fragrance, I'm sure you guys know by now, is Cree Aventis Cologne. I've done a review on this one. I've talked about it a few different times. But what I will say is it has some of my favorite notes: pink pepper, ginger, sandalwood. Those are definitely in like my note pyramid, very high at the top. And it smells like Cree Aventis. It's just not as potent as the OG Aventis, even though the OG Aventis have a different batch for every year, it seems like. But it gives me the Aventis DNA that everybody really loves without that superpower that the original gives you. It's something that's a little bit more versatile. I don't have to wait to Saturday night going to the club, or I don't have to wait till I'm going to an event to want to wear Cree, even though even the small bottle is still pretty expensive. But I can still wear this in a more versatile setting. And it's really easy to grab. It's one of those fragrances that kind of play like a designer fragrance in regards to, you know, the versatility and how you want to wear it. But it's still a niche fragrance, it's still niche quality, not synthetic at all, and a really good add to my collection. So my third niche fragrance that I added to my collection this year for 2020 is Cree Aventis Cologne. So I guess I should have said these fragrances, although I love most of the fragrances that I bought this year, I'm ranking them from like a lot to just absolutely love. So maybe from good to best is how I'm ranking these fragrances. So while I'm down to my number 4 spot, this is actually the second favorite fragrance that I bought this year from a niche house. And this fragrance is just so amazing, but it's not effing fabulous. And plus, I don't think that's niche anyway. I think that's just high designer. But this fragrance, from the presentation to the scent, it's a boozy fragrance, oak barrel, woody a little bit. This fragrance is just amazing. It came out a few months ago, and it's practically been sold out everywhere since its inception. I found this bottle at a store, but they had to like go back in the back. I didn't get the full presentation with the box. They kind of just gave it to me and said, "Hey, we're gonna ring it up, but we can't give you a box or nothing for it." There probably was a tester that they weren't supposed to sell, but it's the holiday season, and everybody want to make their commission, which is understandable to a degree. But this fragrance has been a huge rave on YouTube. You'll see tons of videos about it, especially for the people who've gotten their hands on it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm just adding to the crowd because I really love this fragrance too. So my number 4 fragrance, but my second favorite fragrance that I bought from a niche brand in 2020 is by Killian, and it's Angel Share. So this isn't one of those hype beasts, I'm just doing it because everybody's doing it. If you haven't gotten your nose on it, then you won't understand. And if you have gotten your nose on it, then you fully understand. This thing is gorgeous, especially if you like gourmand or if you like woody and dark fragrances. This fragrance is cognac in the bottle, except you can't drink it, or you shouldn't. Please don't. Please don't. But yeah, it's cognac, tonka bean, cinnamon, not spicy cinnamon, modest cinnamon that's really great, oak and praline. It doesn't have a lot of notes, but it packed a hell of a punch. Definitely unisex. My wife loves it. I'm actually probably gonna get her a bottle. Don't say shit. She's probably watching. But she's probably gonna get a bottle too because she really loved it. I mean, even when we tried it in the store, she was like, "Yo, this is the one." But I think she was saying for herself. She won't never really tell me, but I think she's saying it for herself. So if you're a guy or a gal, you will love this fragrance. For a boozy fragrance, you know, like I said, nothing on my list has synthetic feels to it at all. Everything feels really natural. And this is one of those fragrances that could put you really in the mind of having a nice chill glass of Hennessy or any type of cognac that you enjoy. It's hard to find right now. Like I said, it's been sold out everywhere. So if you want to get on the list of Saks, if you want to get on the list of Killian, I highly suggest it. I don't think that you'll be seeing this on discounts for at least another year and a half or two. So don't expect it. But it's only $200. So for niche fragrances that, you know, could range between $150 and $500–$600, I think this really fits well within this price range. It's only 50 mil, so you know I probably wouldn't pay too much more for it. But it's definitely in that wheelhouse of fragrances that deserves this price point. So this right here, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful to have on your shelf. Great showpiece, even though fragrances is supposed to be kept dark and pretty much away from everybody. But great fragrance, great smell, and I really love this fragrance. So my number 4 fragrance is by Killian, and it's Angel Share. If Angel Share gets that much love, what could possibly get more love than Angel Share? Especially being the standout fragrance, niche fragrance for 2020. But this fragrance wasn't released in 2020, but this fragrance is definitely a standout fragrance to me. It's the most versatile fragrance that I have probably in my collection, in my opinion. It's a fragrance that hits so many pleasure points. It's sweet, it's creamy, it's citrusy, it's woody, it's aromatic. It literally almost tackles all of my senses when I smell this fragrance. It's just one of those fragrances that, you know, it doesn't have a category to me. It's not a freshie, it's not a gourmand, it's not a fougere. It's definitely just a masterpiece. If masterpiece was a category, I just put it under masterpiece. So my 5th fragrance, but my number 1 niche fragrance that I purchased for the year 2020 is, like I said, by Mascara, and it's Oud Lemon Mint. So Mascara Say this is a Cuban-inspired cocktail. I've never been to Cuba, and I don't know what cocktail that they're considering. But this fragrance here with lemon, coriander, vanilla, jasmine, patchouli, a host of other notes, leather, amber. It doesn't give me cocktail note. It gives me, hey, I want to have a fragrance that hits on every category that people normally like in fragrances. Being that fresh, being that woody, being that sweet, being that aromatic, being that creamy on the dry down. This fragrance really encapsulates all of those senses in one fragrance. The bottle is beautiful. I don't know if you can see the gradient green and blue from the bottom to the top. It has the gold trimmings. You know, it comes in the Mascara carry bag, which is pretty dope as well. Like, they just knocked it out the park in regards to this fragrance. I own, I think, 5 Mascara fragrances now. Love them all. I own a lot of fragrances, love most of them, but this fragrance right here has just been absolutely perfect to me in regards to pickups. I've worn it in all seasons this year. I've worn it in spring, summer, fall, winter. This fragrance, it fits every season. It's super versatile. It can be worn dressed up, dressed down. I can't say much more about this fragrance, but it is a plus to have in your collection. Got a lot of fragrances, enjoy a lot of them for a lot of different reasons. If you get confused, this is one of those fragrances that will just break the ties. Like, hey, I want woody a little bit later, but I want fresh right now. I might want creamy on the dry down. This fragrance lasts for about 10 hours, maybe 10 plus hours for real. It projects for about three or more hours. It can be found on discounters for as low, I believe, as $100. I might be wrong, but I know it's between like $100 and $180 on various sites. On Mascara site, I think it's $180. So at the top, you're gonna pay $180. If you find a really good deal, you might pay $100, and you know, it's well worth it. It's well worth the $100. It's well worth the $180. This is just a great fragrance, and my number 1 fragrance for 2020 from a niche brand. Alright guys, thanks for rocking with me. Those are my 5 fragrances from niche brands that I bought and that I really enjoyed this year. My list is going to be 5 instead of 10 because I am a casual collector, and while I do have fragrances, I don't do super huge hauls. I mean, maybe twice, 2 or 3 times a year, but you know, we casual. We do this thing piece by piece. We don't like really jump out the gym with it. So this is my niche list. You're gonna get probably my designer list next, and probably my indie list last. So look forward to those lists coming soon, in probably the next week or so. So until next time, if you like this video, please remember to hit the like button and drop me a comment. Tell me about the niche fragrances that you guys bought this year that you really enjoyed. I already got a list for 2021 that I'm really excited to grab. I might even do a video about fragrances that I look to pick up in 2021. But as far as right now, it's 2020, niche, designer, indie. Hit the like button, drop a comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That way you're alerted anytime I drop a video. Until next time, be sure to smell good and smile.